Ladies, do any of y'all out there have thyroid issues like me? Well, what if I told you that it could actually be more than just a physical thing? Yes, that's right. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the surprising connection between your thyroid gland and your throat chakra. Yes, we're getting a little woo-woo up in here today. We're getting a little woo-woo. I'm going to be talking about some energetic or spiritual and physiological insights, also some ways on how you can tell whether you have an imbalance, and just some little tips and tidbits that could, help improve the situation. Now, let me say that I am not a doctor. Full disclosure, I am not a doctor. My mom was a nurse, so, we do have the medical genes, but I am not a doctor. I'm just sharing information from my own experience, bringing it into your awareness. You could do your due diligence and see if any of these things that I'm sharing are a good fit for you. But first, if you are new here hanging out, my name is Marie. I am 56, postmenopausal, and on this channel, I basically talk about, menopausal things, midlife things, and things that I just do to keep myself all the way together right when it comes to living a healthy, clean lifestyle. So if that sounds good to you, that sounds like your vibe, just keep watching and we shall get started. All right, y'all, let's kick this off. I'm going to just do a brief recap of what your thyroid is. If you didn't see my last video where I was talking about 3 surprising things that you did not know were affecting your thyroid. Your thyroid gland is this lovely little butterfly-shaped gland that sits in the front of your throat around your vocal cord. Now, it has a few functions. Probably the most important one, if you are over 40 in perimenopause, is it helps to regulate your metabolism. But it also helps to regulate your body temperature, your heart rate, your blood pressure, and even your mood. And if you are producing too much thyroid hormone, it can lead to a condition called hyperthyroidism, which in extremes could result in an autoimmune disorder, Graves' disease. If you're not producing enough thyroid hormone like myself, that can result in a condition called hypothyroidism. And the extreme of that would be Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I find that in this stage or at this age, when you're over 40, it tends to be more of the hypothyroidism, but that is a brief synopsis of what your thyroid is and what it does. I'm trying to sort out this hormonal hair. But anyway, let's move on to the throat chakra for the spiritual side of things. So your throat chakra, if you've not heard of a chakra, let me backtrack. If you've not heard of a chakra, they are energy centers in your body. We have 7, from the base of your spine, which is your root chakra, to the top of your head, which is the crown chakra. Your throat chakra is the 5th one. It's called the Vishuddha chakra. The color associated with it is blue, and it is connected to your neck, your shoulders, your ears, your mouth, and even your sinuses. And it's associated with communication, self-expression, and truth, your ability to speak your truth, honor your truth. So that's essentially what your throat chakra represents. So let's connect the dots, shall we? How are your thyroid gland and your throat chakra connected? First and foremost, they are located in the same area. Your thyroid is in the front, and your throat chakra is actually the front and the back of your neck. Now, we know that the throat chakra governs communication and expression, but when you have a wonky thyroid that's out of balance, this is often linked to suppression, which could be suppression of emotions, suppression of speaking the truth. It could even mean creativity that is blocked. If you are feeling stifled, if you're feeling like, when, like you're not able to do the things that you love to do, like creativity blocked is also something to be aware of when you have a wonky thyroid. But when your thyroid is in balance, you're not your thyroid, but when your throat chakra is in balance, you know, you're able to just speak freely. You are able to speak effectively without fear of what anybody's going to think. You know, like people that are like, maybe like, I don't know, that media people, you know, they can just speak up, no problem. That's, you know, when your throat chakra is in balance, that's what life is like. That's what life is like. But you could also experience some emotional patterns too when it comes to your throat chakra being off balance. And that could be certain patterns like not liking to deal with confrontation, or like you get anxiety at the thought of having to deal with things, addressing things. It could also be like the fear of speaking out, like a lot of people who have to do public speaking and this big fear just comes over them. They just get the big jitters and fear. And I can always tell when somebody is nervous when they're public speaking because they always are red right here. But that's essentially the way that your throat chakra and your thyroid gland are connected. It's just if you have issues, you know, you're not speaking up, you are not communicating your truth, you might feel blocked creatively. So those are just some things to keep in mind as far as the connection between the two. Something else that I wanted to add that just came to mind is that I'm a big believer in the mind-body connection. Might be an unpopular opinion, who knows, but that's my belief. I believe that, you know, when your mind can no longer work out something from an emotional or mental standpoint, it does come out in physical form. So, you know, when you're not standing up for yourself or speaking your truth, or if you are talking a little too much and a little, you know, cutting people off and all that kind of stuff, yes, that can manifest physically in your thyroid. So I just wanted to add that in there too, just as another tidbit to keep in mind. It could be a little aha moment for some of y'all. So how do you know if you have an imbalance in your thyroid or your throat chakra? Let's start with the throat chakra. Now, one way you might be able to tell is if you feel like you have difficulty speaking or difficulty being heard. Now this comes if you just don't have it in you to speak up, you're not confident enough, you get anxiety over it. Or if you're somebody who feels like they need to talk, no one's hearing them, so you just gotta talk until you feel like you get your point across, you know, no matter whether you're cutting people off or how long your story is. Yes, if you feel like you have difficulty speaking or being heard, that is one way to tell whether you have an imbalance. Also, of course, again, if you have the fear of public speaking, because the fear could just be so overwhelming and all encompassing. When you start to sweat, you get a lump in your throat, and also again that you get very red right there. That is another way to tell if you have an imbalance. And also if you feel like you're being silenced, maybe as a child, your parents were like, children are meant to be seen, not heard. Maybe you were shushed. Or if you feel like you're being misunderstood, those are some ways to tell if you have an imbalance in your thyroid chakra. And of course, with not your thyroid chakra, your throat chakra. And then when it comes to your thyroid, the usual, you know, the weight gain, the fatigue, the hair loss, the brain fog, the cold intolerance, those are some of the ways that you can tell that you have an imbalance in your thyroid. So what can you do to heal your throat chakra? Well, I mean, probably what you want to do is be using your throat more, communicating through your throat. And one of the ways that you could do that, which I have started doing again, is to sing. Yes, that's right. Get that vibration coming up through your throat chakra. That's one thing that you could do. However, if you feel that you can't carry a tune, you could probably hum as well, or you could chant. You could chant the word Om, which is another, you know, good thing for getting the vibration coming up through your throat. You could also speak affirmations. Maybe it's something like, I speak my truth with ease and confidence, or I connect I connect, I communicate easily and effortlessly, or I can communicate easily without fear, something along those lines. You can make up your own, just make sure it's something that resonates with you, because you have to be able to say it with conviction, energy, and emotion in order for it to really take hold, and you have to repeat them. You can't just say it one time and your throat chakra is fixed. No, you got to repeat these things. But you could also journal out your thoughts about, you know, speaking up, you know, maybe write it down. I speak, you know, freely. I, you know, have no problems speaking my truth, honoring my feelings, what have you. Just write it down. Something else that you could do is wear the color blue. As we know that blue is associated with the throat chakra. When I know my thyroid is acting up, I tend to wear the color blue a lot. If you sit in front of a computer all day, try to find a blue scarf to protect your throat with. I've got my shungite pendant on as well to help, you know, deflect the EMFs that come off your computer screen. And that is also, that is also something that you could do as well. Also, you could work with crystals. So blue crystals, of course, like Amazonite or Aqua Marine or blue kyanite or Lapis Lazuli. Those are some crystals that you could work with when you lay in bed at night, or at any time you could lay on your yoga mat, put one on your throat, and maybe do some deep breathing and visualize yourself speaking confidently, speaking your truth. And then when it comes to supporting your thyroid, because you know I'm not a doctor, but when it comes to supporting your thyroid, you know, balanced nutrition obviously is key. You want to make sure you're getting the adequate amounts of iodine, selenium, zinc. You want to try to manage those stress levels. Yes. Keep the cortisol down. I really feel like stress is like the bane of all health issues, along with like your gut microbiome. And of course, if you feel like you need to get tested, go to your doctor and try to get all the thyroid tests, T3, T4, I don't know, TSH, TPO, just try to get them all done. You could even have a thyroid ultrasound. I've had one. So yes, those are some things that you could do to support your thyroid, and of course to heal your throat chakra. All right, y'all, so this brings me to the end of this video. I feel like it's like a little series that was not even intended, but I really do believe there is a mind-body connection, and I feel like, you know, once you start to work on healing your throat chakra, you'll see some, you know, significant improvements in your thyroid health. But drop a comment and let me know, did any of this resonate with you? Could you see yourself? Are you somebody that maybe is holding back and, you know, is a little afraid at times to speak their truth, to honor their feelings? Or are you somebody who, you know, might be talkity, chatty Cathy, and maybe be, you know, you might cut people off at times when they're talking. You need to get your point across. This inquiring mind wants to know. But drop any questions or comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And, you know, if you found any value in this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, a like, a share. If there's somebody out there that you feel would resonate with this video, share it, share it, share it. And yes, if you haven't subscribed as yet, come on over to this little corner of the internet. I'm happy to have you over here in this community we build in of living our healthiest lives as we're in the midlife phase of things. But, of course, and as usual, thank you for watching, and I shall see you on the next one.